Hello and welcome. I am the Restless Kaiser, of course.
And I am Johnny B, of course.
And I'm James Workshop, of course.
And I'm Woody Mike, on course.
But together we are
But immediately we lose 5 viewers at that moment. It's from 12 right down to 7. Boom. Right, who we got in the chat with us tonight? Bob Edwards. Just a look at the trailer for A Field in England. The best I can say is Hengist, House Hengist comic. Very interesting choice. War movies tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Set during the English Civil War. Interesting. I'm just clearing the pipes there. Rosie Raccoon is, of course, here. She says it's her birthday month. That must be very entertaining for you, John. Good evening, all. This is Nick from Team Clueless Games. Happy birth month. Look at that. If anyone says Fury is a good war movie, they need to be perma-banned. John, you're out. Don't forget live stream before Kaz and Johnny B get there. Let's give them a nice surprise. Then we dear me. Yes, indeed. Great movie. We have got a list of the things that people put on last week's show. Rich Johnson is working tonight, but looking forward to the reply. I assume it means replay. Animal Farm. Is that a porno? That's maybe the wrong question. I'm here. Yeah. Bob Edwards, happy birthday month. Rich John. Watching the replay. Look at that. So much he said it twice. Anyone else I've missed? Josh Wood is here. Can't make it again. Oh my gosh. There's loads of them.
Just speaking to people 2 weeks from now, aren't we? Hello, everyone.
Ali, building 12 Warriors tonight for SPQ Art Warband. So, Ali, definitely the message I would say if you're playing out of that box is make the goals as under armored as possible. Go for the guys as naked as you can, because there's just low lethality in that box. Yeah, that would be my thing. Tony Halton, Friends of General Haig, ahoy there. Friends of General Haig got in touch. He's going to be on here in a couple of weeks. Shows hopefully some pictures of these beautiful demo games that he's put on. We saw English Civil War, or might have been Barons Wars thing that he'd done at Warlord. Staying really, really nice. Saffron 69, hello there, my friend. Ham and Jam, evening, everybody. Future Guardian 5 Gaming, hello. Ooh. Dark Arnold, Texan, Britannicus Games,
Sausage.
All the people, sausages. Judge Dredd Project. I'm interested in Dredd, but I think I might prefer Strong Team Dog. Not sure. Good movie considering, but T-34 is better on so many levels. Broadsword, Carling, Danny Boy. More on that later.
Get the right film, Michael.
That's the one, yep. Catch 22. Oh, it's a great book. I'm not sure about the movie, though, Alid, to be honest. I don't like to disagree with such a good customer as yourself, but
you're wrong.
It's a subjective thing, right? It's highly subjective. And Veltmer Reltop is a former student of mine. He's turned out to be a fully fledged normal human being. So, there you go. Hello there, buddy. Stephen
no such thing.
I can't hang about and watch this war films. It's all about Kelly's heroes for me. Well, mate, you might not be disappointed. Stop giving me those negative vibes. If it was okay.
Shit, a reference I recognize.
Someone else decided the film would end in how they wanted to do it for a laugh. Yeah, Fury better than Battle of the Bulge. 1917.
1917. That was a good film.
Is that the one where the guy's just running?
Yes.
That is not First World. That isn't happening during the First World War.
I run through German lines to get to British lines.
That is not about.
I hate to tell you, but A Bridge Too Far isn't exactly biographical either. It's gonna be like
it's got everyone in it. Awesome.
If you haven't watched it, how do you know?
Because we told him earlier. Right.
You told me earlier.
We've got a quiz. Are you ready for this, John? Quiz.
Oh, come on.
Now, so this is a game that everyone can play. I need you, Mike, not to blurt out the answers immediately. So they're going to come up on a slide. We're going to let everyone have a chance to absorb the question, and then we're going to raise our hand when we've got an answer, and then we're going to ask John, who may or may not know, and then the rest of you can correct him. Is that all right? That's what we're going to do. All right. So I'll share my screen. Let's hope that this is going to work. So if I go to view and present.
Fancy.
Okay, has it come up?
Look at that.
Yeah, here we go. So,
War movies.
question 1. Which film has the infamous line, I love the smell of napalm in the morning? I am not going to reply to all the comments, by the way. I know people may want to put their answers in. You know what? Okay, they've got their hands up. So, John, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. The answer is?
I can't remember what it's called. It's Vietnam, and the dude's wearing an awesome hat. I can tell you that.
Stripped to the waist, mate. Like, arr. Yeah. Do you remember why he loves the smell of napalm in the morning?
Because he's a crazy bastard.
Nobody did. There's a follow-up line. Does anybody remember it?
No.
Smells like victory.
Smells like victory. Absolutely. And the movie is, of course, Apocalypse Now.
Redux,
right, here we go.
remake, remaster.
Question 2. Which film starring Alec Guinness is about building a railway bridge in Burma? There you go, John. Easy one, mate. I didn't even finish reading the question. Mike's got his hand up. Platoon, yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, Friends with John. Got it.
Bridge over the River Kwai.
Bridge over the River Kwai. Let's have a look. Bridge on the River Kwai.
Deep, man. I had to dig deep. I love the end bit where they're yeah, it all goes a bit wrong, doesn't it?
Yes. All right, here we go. Next question. Which film features a group of Jewish American soldiers and a plot to kill Hitler? John knows this one.
Oh, Woolly Mike, have you got this?
I think I've got an answer, but I'm not too sure.
Have you got it, James?
Yeah. It's probably one of the only war films I've seen, to be honest.
I love this film. It's Inglourious Bastards.
Inglourious Bastards. The Nazi in that film is so...
I have to admit, that's one I haven't watched.
Oh, it's not a war movie, but it's very entertaining.
It's not a war movie. It's a Quentin Tarantino film.
Yeah, it's Tarantino film.
Inglourious
Still worth a watch.
There we go. Okay.
Especially if you want to get...
That's spelt wrong.
Bastards.
Was it?
Bastards. E-R-D-S,
oh,
yeah.
Spelling's wrong.
Well, that's how Sean Bean would say it.
Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, what? I looked away. What was that? Put it back up.
Former gunnery sergeant has his first major movie role in Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, it's the Screamy Man.
It's the Screamy Man. Yeah, look at this.
Gunny Doofer.
Yes, he was actually hired to train the actor to be the gunnery sergeant, but when they realised how good he was, they actually made him the gunnery sergeant himself.
Brian Blessed.
Should have been.
Show me your war face.
Lee Ernie something, Ernie Lee.
Lee Ermey.
Oh, almost.
Nailed it.
Here we go. All right. The 1962 John Wayne movie, The Longest Day, is about which event?
Midsummer's Day?
Is it not just like D-Day, right? That was really long.
It was really long.
It's about D-Day. There you go.
Oosh.
There you go. Another one for you, John. A trash movie. A movie set in Stalingrad about rival snipers.
I love this film.
Of course
you know about trash. It is trash. It is essentially a Disney movie. Enemy at the Gates.
Hey.
Enemy. Oh, she's done that wrong. Enemy Within.
Enemy Within.
Enemy at the Gates. You're quite right. Yeah. Okay. Lee Marvin leads a band of scoundrels in which movie?
Is there 12 of them?
Al Pacino,
there's 12 of them.
Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, I've seen this. This is actually one I've seen. I don't remember the title.
That is the Dirty Dozen, right?
No, it's not the
Dirty
Dirty
Dozen.
Dozen. Okay.
Boom.
Oosh.
Which movie is a dark comedy about a field hospital in the Korean War?
And the TV
Pirates
series.
of the Caribbean subs.
But, is it, I don't know, is it MASH, the film?
Through
It is
early
MASH.
morning mists
Boom.
I see visions of the things to be.
Suicide is painless,
I used
mate.
to love that
Which
TV series.
Horse and Musket classic stars Rod Steiger and Christopher Plummer?
Waterloo, right, or something?
Well done, John. How did you
Yeah.
get that one?
I just dug deep, man. Digging deep into the archives here.
Clint Eastwood and Donald Sutherland star in this classic wartime bank heist.
What is it called, though? Scheiße. It is
Again,
called...
It's got a really pervy Nazi in it. I love the pervy Nazis.
I can't remember the name of it.
Subs, it's not The King and I. I'm sorry about that, mate.
Kelly's Heroes.
It's got Oddball and
Kelly's Heroes.
Oh,
that was it, mate. That's
I like
all you
that
got.
one.
Hey, that's all you got. How did we do? Mike did well, but you didn't get Inglorious Bastards. I'm surprised you missed that one.
No, I had it in my mind, but because I hadn't seen it, I didn't know. But that's what I guess would have been.
Story.
So
Story.
that was just to get us in the mood. West Side Story.
To get us
going. Actually, you just missed the quiz. Well done. Subs, you did not get 9 out of 10 with answers like The King and I.
I think that's it, right?
Pirates of the Caribbean. Right.
It's a war film.
So these are the contributions we got from last week's viewers. Just leave them up there to have a little bit of a thing. So first of all, then I think what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about. We'll get some from the guys, and we'll talk about that. And that hopefully that will kind of define a broader idea of what makes a war movie. And that was kind of part of the idea with the quiz. Not everybody would consider everything in there a war movie. So John, shame yourself. Tell us what is your favorite war movie.
I'm not going to say the one that you think. It's really boring, but I really do like Saving Private Ryan or Shaving Ryan's Privates or something like that.
Saving Private Ryan. Okay. Wally Mike?
I'd be the same because I did have a conversation with a guy who was a landing craft captain or coxswain on D-Day, and he said he started watching the film and he had a nervous breakdown and walked out because it was so accurate. It just reminded him. The first half of the film is really good, and then it gets dragged out at the end, but it is a good movie to watch. All
right. Well, let's talk a bit about Saving Private Ryan. And so, obviously, this is extremely famous for this first. It's like 20-minute sequence, isn't it? Of the American landings on D-Day, and a lot of people that you come away from that film and you still remember that bit. So, all I would say about it as a film is that people have got absolutely nothing to say about the rest of the movie, and there's another hour after that. And I think that's a problem as an experience. You know,
I'm shocked about that.
Do you even remember what happens in the rest of the movie, John?
Yeah, big time. There's some real key things in there, and a lot of it's more about the emotions. I mean, you've got the D-Day landings, which is just brutal. That is just unfiltered brutality, and that's pretty grim. But it's later on as they're going along and they're trying to achieve their mission. There's a certain scene where they attack a sort of a radar position, and there's only a couple of Germans there, but they're really reluctant to go in. They're like, "Why can't we just go around this? You know, our mission's to go get Private Ryan. Why are we doing this?" And Tom Hanks, Captain Miller, is just like, "Well, what about the next patrol of our guys that are going to come through? You know, you're just going to let them get killed. So we have to deal with this." And eventually they all sort of get put in their place and they run up to this this it's got an MG at the base of it, this radar, and they lose a member, obviously the medic, and that stuff like that. That's what hits me the most, because that is a gruesome way. He's like, "Where am I hit? Where am I hit?" And they're all sort of telling him, "Tell us how to fix you, man," because he's the medic.
He's the medic.
Yeah,
and
the medic
they
takes
just
the
pump
bullet.
him,
Yeah, of course.
they pump him full of morphine and let him drift away. And then it gets even darker after that, because one of the survivors of the radar base, they're like they're going to take it out on him, and they do. So it's a lot deeper than just bullets.
But then he
tactical
stays with them
decision,
for ages, doesn't he? Yeah.
strategy. No, well, no, they
For a bit.
blindfold him and send him off because they can't take him with. And again, that's another thing, another big decision that had to be made on a very personal level. We're not talking grand strategies and tactics here. This is like humans having to deal with this craziness. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot more. And further on, the last battle there, I'll tell you the one thing I took away from it, a big lesson that I learned, and I still use to this day, I swear by it. Do not fill GI standard issue socks with C4, because they tend to go off before they're meant to. So I learned that, and I will not do that.
Well, I mean, that's one of them great lessons in life, isn't it? Mike, Saving Private Ryan, then does it? You said it would. You would put it in one of your favorite war movies. What is it that's so compelling about that movie?
I think it's the struggle when they're trying to move through after the first scene, and they come across the landing zone with all of the casualties, and nobody knows where their mates are. Nobody knows where they're supposed to have been or where they ended up. There's a little bit with the description of the glider pilot who didn't get told that he'd had a general on board and they'd actually put more armor on his glider.
Oh yeah, that's another key one. Yeah,
he's lucky to get alive because they spent all this time practicing for the one job, and on the day that he gets to do it, they've actually changed everything. So
right, so he's got no experience of the vehicle he's going to try and land.
Yeah, and then there's the sort of, it's quite a poignant bit as they're going through the dog tags, and then the guy dies later on, comes and grabs them all out of their hands because they're doing playing their game of poker with dog tags. All of the airborne guys are walking past with sort of like no sort of order, and then they realise what it is they're looking at. So it hits home as the number of people that didn't come home on that day.
Yeah. I mean, the dog tag thing is really annoying, though, to see that move. They always remove dog tags, and it's like utterly the last thing that you do. This is for body identification. Do not separate these from these bodies. So, James, have you watched it? Do you know the film? Got anything to say?
I've seen Saving Private Ryan. It's sort of, because I watched it around the same time, it sort of meshes in with Band of Brothers in my head a little bit.
Right.
Because Band of Brothers feels like it's an extended version of a very similar theme.
And it's shot in a similar kind of way, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's the same producers, Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks collaboration. Although Tom Hanks isn't in Band of Brothers, it was the same collaboration. And so I believe that's why the film was made. I'm not sure which order, but it was basically the same production values.
So they sort of mesh in the same place. They're as has already been said, it's an exploration of the people that are in it more than the war itself, or more like what war does to a small number of people rather than trying to do a larger thing. It's sort of that transition from the earlier sort of 60s, 70s era of this is a bunch of heroes and nothing less to like this is some humans who are in a war and sorry. So
yeah. The couple of things that I wasn't so keen on it is again, the first 20 minutes really breathtaking, especially if you see it at the cinema and you don't know what's coming. It is genuinely shocking and a little bit, difficult to watch, to be honest. Now it's been seen so many times, you kind of get used to it. But as the film progressed, it ran into some problems that bothered me a lot. One is that every time they have a fight, it's like, let's roll out one of each different type of military vehicle we could get out of this same museum, because they don't get attacked by a platoon of tanks. They get attacked by one of each. You know what I mean? It's very much like it's a museum collection that's attacking you. rather than a coherent.
It's because it was.
Because it is, right? Obviously, yeah. Anyway, so there's that aspect of it, but what it doesn't do, which films which are trying to be more of a historical biography, is it doesn't really look at the battle at all from the German perspective. It is about these people and their experiences. It is what D-Day meant to American soldiers and the shortly thereafter. It's very much our story. So actually, despite all the things that you just said about it being like it's not about heroes and so forth, I think it is. And what I'm not so comfortable is it's about what we would regard as heroic in the 21st century. That these are not automatons. These are thinking, feeling people, not machines, and yet they still do it. You know, you come away from that film, and if this is what D-Day was like, all of those men were heroes, right? You still very much feel that, and I think it's very much a Hollywood updated version of something like The Wild Geese, and I know you wouldn't see it in those terms because it's more modern, but I think it's just it's showing you a more modern heroic image, and I'm not so happy with that, to be honest. By no means it's a fantastic piece of cinematography. That first 20 minutes is very impactful, but that's just my take, right? It's not everyone's entitled to their opinion. I
didn't especially take it that way. It seemed like the people that we were left with were the survivors, and they just got told, all right, well, good job, off you go. Like the only reason that they're heroes is because the only reason it was from the American perspective is because it was filmed by Americans with American information, and it was giving us the perspective of
so
Tom
it was
Hanks.
Tora, and that was a really different movie with a very
and so it was
a million other films. I mean, so
Iwo Jima was same thing, but it's like this is Tom Hanks's perspective of D-Day, and when he gets to the top of the hill, he's not like celebrated as a hero. It's, well, thanks for getting here, off you go, we've got someone you got to go and save. And
but do you not feel that that's not what like modern cop shows are like and so forth? That is how we like our heroes today. They're not celebrated. They're just ordinary guys in extraordinary circumstances that do the right thing. But as I say, that's very much me. So, Mike, if you want to pick a film to talk about, then.
Well, obviously, I know there's some question marks over it, but I do like the movie Fury. But it's because I regularly I buy a season ticket.
Fury comments, guys. Let me see him.
I go to the Tank Museum regularly, and obviously the Tank Fury is there on display, and it does driving displays. The 131 Tiger is there, and just seeing the amount of work that they've gone into to keep these two tanks going, and there is a behind the scenes movie about how that one tank scene with the tanks. And I just enjoy seeing the tank battles. Take all the scenes in the town and that away, and it's quite a good movie. But...
Sorry, just the scenes where one tank shoots at another tank.
They're the really bad bit of that movie. Yes. Okay, to try and provide some balance.
Hold back the vitriol.
Well, no, because John's going to have more favourite things to say. So you can go next, James. Tell us about Fury.
I've seen Fury once. I came away from it thinking it was a good film, not a good war film. It's a good character film. It has some nice battle scenes in it. I don't think it's any more of a World War II film than Return of the Jedi, but it's certainly an enjoyable movie to watch from beginning to end. So it's a good Brad Pitt film, not necessarily a great war film.
Yeah.
Good Brad Pitt film rather than a war film. Okay.
Same as Inglourious Bastards. It's not a war film. It's a fun film.
No, I would massively disagree because I think Inglourious Bastards didn't go to the Tank Museum. It didn't invest a huge amount of sort of time and money and production effort into getting some bits. there's aspects of that movie that are the most historically accurate and authentic you could possibly recreate, and then you've tossed it away by just completely ignoring or any experts you must have hired that said, how do tanks fight in World War II then? That doesn't sound very interesting. Can we not just have a whole panzer division attack one of them and it win? Anyway, John, you love Fury. Partly that's because you love Brad Pitt's sexy body, but tell us.
That's the main reason, to be fair. Why do I love Fury? Because it is everything. I've learned so much from that film. Again,
you're just saying that to wind me up.
All of my tank doctrine has come from that documentary called Fury.
I've never seen Fire Smoke. However,
keep moving
in that movie.
Keep moving towards the enemy. Just keep going.
Just
all
drive.
right, preferably in a line abreast, but not too fast. It's got to be, just slow enough that you can shoot them. Unfortunately, you might lose a couple on the way in, but it's all right. You've got 3; they've got 1. So yeah, it was fantastic, and yeah, that's all that needs to be said.
That's all that needs to be said.
Although what you did just say, the amount of money spent on, the resources
on the
that they got.
Yeah,
the tiger. They got the tiger.
The tiger. Yeah.
The only one that works.
Well, the only one that runs regularly. I mean, I know. So Wooly Mike, I understand. Like, he's a big fan of the Tank Museum, like a lifetime fan. He's got a personal relation. He's touched that tiger. He's kept it warm in cold winter nights. He's seen it drive around on Tiger Day. I could see how you could be so invested in that particular artifact that you can overcome some of the issues with the movie. But I'm not, because it's just trash. Just rubbish, man.
I watched it at the same time as White Tiger. So like one day I watched Fury and then White Tiger and then T-34. And Fury was probably my least favorite film out of the 3. So
but at least it used the proper tanks. We had a conversation before about all those all the tanks in Saving Private Ryan. They're bulldozers with bits of plastic on top.
Yeah. So the T-34, it used a T-34. It was accurate.
They've got thousands of them parked, in the wilderness in Siberia, haven't they? They're still there.
That still work.
I'm not gonna rag on Fury, because anybody that cares already knows there's so many things wrong with that movie, beginning to end. I just don't even know where to begin. It's just mad. the whole thing. And for me, I couldn't enjoy it as a film. And what was mad about it is, I think if they'd made a movie, like James said, if it was like Inglourious Bastards, if they were trying to make a Commando Comics movie, it could have been a good movie. If it was going to be like Kelly's Hero, saying this is not authentic, we're not trying to make it authentic. We're trying to make something in the style of a 1960s comic adventure story for boys. I think it could have been a good movie. And there's so many movies we talked about already that clearly do that very well. A modern version of that would be Inglourious Bastards. And the great thing about modern movie making is they're really prepared to ratchet it up to 11, aren't they? It's like, no, these are not just Nazi hunters. These are American Jewish Nazi killing commandos. It's like, let's just go all the way. All the way.
That's Tarantino for you.
So, James, then, let's have a movie from you. We're going to get to the viewers' suggestions in a moment. Favorite war movie. Having established that Kelly's Heroes is a war movie, or Where Eagles Dare. It is. Arguably, Star Wars is even a war movie. I'm not.
Yeah.
So, favorite.
And then a politics trilogy and a war trilogy. I would probably say I really like the Stalingrad film from 2013. Stalingrad's kind of my jam, that area of the war. It was very person-centered. And it gave you the feeling that nobody who was in that movie wanted to be, like, none of the people who were in that war wanted to be there, but every single one of them was still like proud and needed to follow their orders, and they felt like they needed to be there in order to stave off the enemy. So it's a very emotive movie that I think only more recent movies can kind of get in on that. And it's also made by Russians from a Russian perspective, so it's not usual American fare as is standard. So there's I said this to Kaiser 100 times. There's 3 different Stalingrad movies. So there's Stalingrad, which was made in about 95, 96, which is a German film from the German perspective. And then there's 2002 or 3 was Enemy at the Gates, which is from an American sort of actually Iraq war perspective. And then there was the 2013 Stalingrad, which was after they'd opened the records in Russia, so they had a little bit more information to work on. So as far as I can tell,
briefly opened the records. Yes, they definitely were closed again quite soon afterwards.
So as far as I can tell, and as far as my lovely Russian wife can tell, it's actually quite accurate to what was supposed to be happening, but still tells a really personal story of the group of the people there. So that's my kind of thing. I really enjoyed that film.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else actually seen that? It's on my.
Do you know what? List. I have not seen that one.
Definitely worth a watch. It's nice to see a non-American perspective in a war film as someone from the West as we are.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
For sure.
Does Good Morning Vietnam count?
It takes place in a war.
It does take place during the war. I would say if it's set during conflict, I would say we count as a war movie, because it's certainly kind of our interest, in the history. We've got to experience the human component to that, right? And that comes in different things. And frankly, as I was reading the other day, I think for every frontline combat soldier in the US Army, there's 27 support guys.
Wow.
To keep one man in a frontline combat, a rifleman, a gunner, something like that, is 27 guys in some level of support. But then again, they are shipping tanks from Detroit, right? They've got a long way to go. And sandwiches and everything else. All right, so all I would say about my favorite war movie, which is a bit of a guilty pleasure, because there's vast amounts of inaccuracies in it, but it is still very entertaining, and because it involves plucky British chaps, it is definitely A Bridge Too Far. It's got everyone in it, including a chicken. It's a very entertaining movie, and it's tried to be authentic. I think it's important sometimes to remember as well, with historical war movies, we know more now than we did then.
Yeah,
and what seems to us like very broadly accepted history might now, which even my mum would know this kind of stuff, could have been quite cutting edge at the time when that movie was made. So what was the kind of popular perception of it, which on some level movies do have to be watched by a broader audience, right? There's definitely an appetite for that, and that's part of the problem, isn't it? Is people went to watch that Pearl Harbor romance film. People went to watch the U-571. People love Fury. It made a fortune. These are not historical films. They're historical films, but they're not history. Yeah. So Myrtle of the Chicken. Not sure what that's about, Ham and Jam, but let's have a look at some of the suggestions. So we're starting with the tricky one, Vilm Grau. I don't know many of these movies. The Last Valley, anyone know anything about The Last Valley?
Never heard of it. I can Google.
Never heard of it?
No. Dark of the Sun? No.
Dark of the Sun?
The Dogs of War?
Dogs of War? No. The Wild Geese is a sort of 80s action adventure.
Mercenaries in Africa. Roger Moore.
Roger Moore.
Wow.
Last Valley is the only English language film dealing with the 30 Years' War.
Okay.
Excellent.
30 Years' War, Michael Caine. Right. Yeah.
Went the Day Well. I think that's a John Mills. If I remember that one, it's a British air base during the war for bombers gets taken over by Americans, and it's how the village and the people react around it.
All right. I mean, these seem like some pretty niche films. I'm going to look into some of these.
Yeah, that's a good list.
That's a good list. Yeah. All right. Subs says Ironclad. I don't know. I don't know that one.
No.
I don't know that one. Is that an American Civil War riverboat thing? Subs, are you still here? Earth to subs.
Oh no, Ironclad's medieval. It's got James Purefoy in it. It's a good film, actually. Yeah, it takes. I think
maybe I have seen that.
It's a siege that happens in a castle, and they get locked in, and yeah, it's interesting. I watched it again. I was watching a lot of medieval films at the time, so they all sort of merged into one. But I do remember that one as being good.
So is Rogue One a war film?
It's a Star Wars film. It's got war in the title. Star Wars Rogue One.
Star Wars. Okay. Troy.
I do like Troy.
I like Troy as well.
A lot.
I don't know. I can't decide what it was like. I couldn't cope with the idea that Brad Pitt in his 40s was supposed to be some 21-year-old beautiful boy. I couldn't really cope with that. He was very.
But he was.
He was young then.
He was, and he was a beautiful, beautiful boy.
He was not young.
Achilles in that film and that heroic music.
Achilles is supposed to be a boy. He was about 40.
I was 39. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
I didn't. So sort of right from the beginning, it's like, what? He's supposed to be Achilles. Okay, so they're throwing. I'm not saying, but Brad Pitt's not pretty, right? But he's
didn't concern me even slightly.
No, because
not even a bit.
But authenticity matters to me a lot. That's when I talking like that. Even though we're talking about a mythological battle.
I was far less concerned about him being 39 and far more concerned about every now and again you could see their chest plates wobble. But I still enjoyed the movie from beginning to end.
Or the plane that goes over the.
Or someone wearing a wristwatch and a pair of trainers. I mean, like
that's her. I think that claim is made. But try Red Dawn. I'm not sure about that one. Is that one?
Patrick Swayze and a group of kids. Russians invade America, and these high school kids form
Team Yankee, the film.
I think this is something that the Team Yankee people are talking about doing. Are they like counter-terrorists or whatever? Do they call?
It's a bunch of high school kids that become counter-insurgents on a Russian invasion.
Are they called Wolverines?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the name of their high school football team.
Right.
American
so the Team
football.
Yankee people on Christmas last year, when they said like this is the release schedule for next year, they talked about like, and we're going to see the Battle of the Bulge stuff quite soon. One of the things they mentioned right at the end of it is a next year Wolverines, except they already make an M10. So it's like, and I was like, what's this? And then people started saying, oh, maybe that's this. And what makes that even more credible is Team Yankee is a fictional setting. That's the 1980s Howard Coyle novel. So it seems quite credible to me that they're going to do a 1990s Soviet invasion of Russia, of the US setting.
There was a remake as well, 2014 or 15 or something. It was a fucking bomb. It was terrible. So.
They remade a B movie into a B movie.
They remade a B movie into an A movie, and it wasn't Patrick Swayze. It was Thor's brother. I've forgotten what the name of the actor is. Yeah, it was terrible. Weirdly, I've seen that one and not the original because someone asked me to watch the new one. And no one's ever asked me to watch a Patrick Swayze movie in my life.
So the original one wasn't that good. The remake was terrible. So let's go with that. Yeah, there is something about bad movies though as well, isn't there? And maybe eventually Fury will become that for me. Best war movie ever made is Casablanca. I don't really know what to say about Casablanca. I know the world loves it. I find it quite boring. I'm sorry.
Very boring.
It's quite a boring movie.
I've never got more than about an hour in and I've given it a good go.
A whole hour? I've never even got that far. I just start on the list and then, no, can't do it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, mate.
That
is the best war movie. Absolutely. That's it. Show over. Marston's got, I can't believe
Slim Pickens riding the nuclear missile. Yeehaw!
If you mean to ask the ratio of 10 females to 1 male. Oh, I'm interested. If we extend this to TV series, docudramas, hello, mate.
Docudrama.
Secret Army was a 70s series based on an underground pipeline of the resistance getting British and American pilots out of occupied territory. And Hello was a comedy parody of it.
Oh, okay.
Secret Army was a really, really good. I believe it's been showed on some channel now, but I'm trying to get back to watch it.
Hello, James.
I've seen Hello.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
yeah. And just check my shit.
Yes. The Madonna was the big movies, just the bit that sticks with me. So
I was just pissing by. Right, Secret Army. Friends of General Haig. Still, I haven't think about this one. I have to add the John Ford U.S. Cavalry trilogy, and You Would Punt for She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. So that's one of these iconic movies. Again, I haven't watched all three. I've got to say, I have watched She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. It is a good movie. You've got to watch a movie like that with a kind of concept of its time. It does not have a great representation of modern values towards women and things like that. You know, it is an old Western. What I do love me a Western, though. It's a bit of a dirty pleasure. When I used to work in the public library in Lancaster, if I got bored, we had a big collection of Westerns. A lot of the old boys used to like reading their Zane Greys and what have you. And they're so formulaic. You just switch to the blurb on the back, and then every single one of them is the same. A band of thieving killers come into town and shot Johnny in the gut. Yeah. Now they are looking to take over. We're going to have to run these boys out of town. It's like, this is the same story 100 times.
When I did my American history degree at Southampton Uni, one of it was in media interpretation. And so we had to watch She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, Last of the Mohicans, and Dances with Wolves, and compare their interpretations and reactions with the Native Americans.
These are three really
that was a whole module for a semester.
Yeah,
watching all these movies and talking about Hollywood's interpretations.
I wouldn't be watching a black and white Western to learn anything about Native American culture.
Oh my God.
Oh dear. Three Musketeers.
On a scale of trash them to absolute abuse, how badly did they treat them? There's three really bad movies for that.
You've got to take it within the context of its time, and bits of it are going to be difficult to watch.
You don't have to take Dances with Wolves as the context of the 90s. We already knew we were doing the wrong thing.
Another classic movie in here, one that I like, is Glory.
Mm-hmm.
I don't recognize that one.
51st Massachusetts, the first Union Black Regiment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's all right.
Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman, yeah. Oh, that's going on.
It.
Yeah. So Oliver Reed in The Three Musketeers, yes. I mean, Oliver Reed, just legend, right? End of. Alatrist? I don't know this one's. Anybody else? 17th century movie?
Nope.
No. And Kevin Mitchell says, good fun as always, thanks. Kelly's Heroes, of course. Woof, woof. I mean, I love Kelly's Heroes. And it's one that's worth going back to occasionally. I think these days, because of things like YouTube, you tend to like occasionally, rather than watch the whole movie, I'll just get some get my negative vibes real, and I'll just give it my Kelly's Heroes hit.
There's probably like an hour of the film you can't actually visualize anymore, and there's just 30 minutes that you've got ingrained
of Donald Sutherland.
Just Donald Sutherland, yeah.
But without him, I don't know how good a movie that is. I mean, he's such. It's a good movie. But it's everything. Oh, Mini Warm-Up, mate. There's just so many things wrong with that movie as well. I know a lot of people like it, but I don't think they know anything about maritime warfare in the Age of Sail. But we're just going to move on from that one.
Master and Commander.
Yeah, absolutely. Wargaming with Gary, easy peasy. One Zulu, mate. I'm all about that. I'm all about that. What I would say is good about Zulu is it does a very, very good job, again, within the context of its time, of trying to represent the views and the culture of the Zulu people. it's not just a load of British guys shooting them. You know, we've been exposed to their culture, some of what they're doing. Absolutely, with the dances and so forth. They got actual Zulus to do those things. Yeah. I'm not today. That doesn't stand up. Obviously, there's a lot more you could do, but for its time, I think it's made a genuine attempt to tell another side of the story and to show that they have developing some tactics. It starts with a big bit about Isandl Wana saying, these guys already massacred a lot of British soldiers somewhere else. This is the sideshow.
That's covered in Zulu Dawn. Zulu Dawn is Isandl Wana.
I thought Zulu Dawn was a crap movie, personally, but it's about the same campaign. Because it's trying to do that whole thing. It, of course, is tough here, British news. Ha ha ha, we can fight the Zulus. What? Oh no, they're all dead. Blagger. I just didn't find any of the, and it's got some good actors like Burt Lancaster is in that movie, but I didn't find them very compelling or credible. Anything with horses. Well, Gary, whatever makes you happy, mate.
Of course, the regiment in Zulu wasn't a Welsh regiment, but they made it Welsh for the movie. And Ivor Emmanuel singing his song in the end
to keep Aled happy. Tech saying a Bridge Too Far is the obvious one. Oh, I admit that Cross of Iron is good. So Cross of Iron is part of that generation of sort of pulpy war movies, right? And I love it for that. Saving Private Ryan, the opening scene, as we talk, Waterloo Mass Spectacle, Where Eagles Dare as the guilty pleasure, Broadsword Carling Danny Boy, right? Yeah. Have you seen that one, James?
No.
It's quite crazy, man.
You've got to watch that.
Have you seen Pan's Labyrinth?
Yes,
it's coming out. It's an excellent.
That's one of Rose's choices. Rose's choices are a bit odd, but we'll get to that. I'm waiting for that. Where Eagles Dare. So because it's a spy novel set during the war with a solid action scene at the end, but it's fundamentally a spy
with a 1950s helicopter landing in the castle.
Indeed. But that's in the book. They didn't add that for the movie. That's in the book. Which is a bit odd. I mean, they did have a couple, but they're incredibly rare. House Hengist Comics says, lashings of apologies over the sound. Thanks for having me. Got to be Cross of Iron. Yeah. So, all right, Pan's Labyrinth. Tell us about Pan's Labyrinth, James. This is Rose's choice.
It's a fantasy. It's a fantasy movie. It's as simple as that. It takes place during a part of the war that I don't think gets explored all that often, which is the German occupation of Spain. I don't think that pretty much ever gets explored. It also barely gets explored in Pan's Labyrinth. But
because the Germans didn't occupy Spain? I mean,
no.
I don't know. They didn't do that?
No. So, it's barely spoken about in other places because it didn't happen, and it also barely happened in this movie. But it is an excellent film. It is visually spectacular, and I think it tells a nice story from beginning to end.
Nice. Edge of Tomorrow, I don't know.
It's got that fella. Tom Cruise. It's the Tom Cruise movie that they released a few years ago. He's in a mech suit and he keeps on going back in time over and over again.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He relives the same day and he's trying to correct his errors.
It's actually a really good film. It's one of Anna, my lovely wife's favorite movies.
Right.
Oh.
Born on the 4th of July is a great war movie. Actually, and it's probably the only Tom Cruise movie I would say that he was a good actor in that movie. Because he's not playing Tom Cruise.
I think Tom Cruise is one of the best actors in all of Hollywood. And my theory is entirely based on the fact that every time you see him in a film, you forget he's 4'4".
Oh, that's some good acting. Yeah.
That's some fantastic acting. You also forget that he's a Scientologist. Just like what I do, and I manage it somehow, despite despising that fact. I see him in a film, and I'm like, oh, Tom Cruise.
12 minutes. Black Hawk Down. John, why is that a great movie?
Because like the stuff happens in it, and
it's got shooting and stuff.
There's a hawk, and it's up, and then it's down again.
Shooting stuff.
Wally might.
What was good about that? Skinny Tom Hardy. That's what's good about that.
That's what's good about that. All right. If you've not seen it, that's set in like Somalia or something. It's set somewhere.
Mogadishu, isn't it?
Yeah, Mogadishu.
They've lost a helicopter.
It's a real
and they keep sending more to try and rescue the guys and keep losing more helicopters.
They were trying to take out a rebel leader who was causing problems, and they thought they got him, but when they went in, they did it rather unplanned.
They should use TIE fighters if they want to get the rebel leader.
Yeah, basically.
All right, Starship Troopers. I love this movie.
Paul Verhoeven made a Western movie in space. If you've ever read the original book, they are actually Space Marines, probably Terminators. 4 or 5 in a unit, dropping out of space in these Terminator suits and wipe everything out. When they made the movie, they made it like a 1950s war film.
Yeah, it's the like comic strip components to it, the dodgy psychic dude, all of that. I love it. It's hack science fiction, right? It's the kind of stuff you would have read serialized in the 50s. I love it. Expendables. I mean, that's just an homage to like this has got everybody in it that's ever been in an action film, right? And it's
which is awesome. Surely everyone's had that conversation. Oh, what would it be like?
Oh, the book is my favorite sci-fi novel. Is the book called Starship Troopers? I wasn't sure that it was
Robert A. Heinlein.
Right. And Mrs. Kaiser tossed one in at the last minute. Empire of the Sun. It's a war movie.
It's a very watchable movie.
Yeah,
it's about a young lad. He's out at school, and the Japanese invade, and his parents disappear.
Yeah,
and then he moves around some intern camps. And John Malkovich is like a black marketeer within the camps.
Right.
And
I think she just likes John Malkovich a lot. Because he's always
and then he goes home and becomes Batman, right?
And he's Batman.
Yeah. And she also wanted to remind you that you can, in fact, buy Bolt Action Island Assault from modelingforadvantage.co.uk at 15% off. Look at that. Hey, Shield, baby. Shield.
Hey.
I think that was the last one. We had some stuff came up in the comments. We are 8 minutes before the end of the show. Do we want to? I don't think we're going to reach any conclusions today. So I wondered if we wanted to have a quick look at, as everybody's going to leave, saying we have a quick look at Games Workshop's releases that they just did. Do you want to, should I quickly whiz through those?
Go on then, because I did kind of miss a little bit of it, even though Mrs. Kaiser said, you should watch this.
Yeah, I was napping, right? And she then thought, we might need this. So she went and took slides of every single product that they did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I feel really bad if we don't use it now.
Quick, use it.
If I was intending to do it, I wouldn't have been asleep on the couch. Right. So there's going to be a new Versus box with Custodes and Gene Stealer Cults in it. Look at that, James. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah.
Where's his gun?
He doesn't have a gun on his sword. No, the sword gun's gone. It's just a sword now. It isn't a sword with a sword on it. It's just a sword.
She's the bomb.
She's got bombs blowing stuff up. Yep. Okay. Boom.
I like the alternate head on that miniature. That was good.
There you go.
Apparently, the Reductor Saboteur is supposed to equalize things between 3 Terminators and 10 just plain old Gene Stealer guys.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. That's what that's about. Yeah. All right. Well, what about that?
Brundlefly.
I like it.
2 different heads. See that? 2 different heads.
Mm-hmm.
Your fly head.
Excellent.
Or just a gob. Nice. So this is an Age of Sigmar thing, right?
It is.
Yeah, there you go. Dungeon Ball, John. You must love it.
Cool.
Yay! I used to play Dungeon Ball a lot using the Warhammer Quest tiles, and there were some rules, and it's completely madness. No line of scrimmage. It's mental.
And this is
the chest. You got to find the ball.
You don't need. You can find the ball.
You have to find the ball
somewhere.
It's in the chest.
Yeah.
I've played a version of Dungeon Bowl on a 6x4 board with 4 teams and chests and teleporters hidden everywhere and exploding boxes and bomb balls and everything.
On a 6x4? How many days did that take to play?
Jesus Christ.
So we got a new team. Look at these fellas.
That's not a new team. That's a bunch of bits of other teams all put together.
Oh,
yeah, basically. Yeah.
So's that.
Same there. Sorry. But yeah, it's 7 dudes.
New Warcry.
Is it new though?
It's not new rules. It's a new set.
It's all
So
new
this is
scenery and 2
okay.
new teams.
New starter set. New teams. I do love the scenery. It's got that. It's got that kind of mining in a volcano kind of thing that fantasy settings seem to like.
all those
Naturally,
things
yeah.
at the back there as well. It's like a chaos meat farm. So all those little things that are on stilts at the back are actually like a sluice of blood that you can run from one place to another.
Isn't it? Yeah, this is an actual meat farm. That's
It
no
is.
joke.
They're mining for blood, so that mining thing that looks like it's going to pull oil out is actually just pulling blood out of the floor. And you can see all the sluices that are running the meat for corn from one side to another. It's cool scenery.
Some of the miniatures.
Corn meat.
So look,
yes, corn meat. Yes.
So they're going for another barbarian looking faction. So that
Conan
team looks like think, oh,
that is Conan, isn't it? I need that miniature.
You said that about the last barbarian set they did with these guys.
Sure, he's not the one from Hero Quest.
It's
very similar
on the box, yeah. So that's it. Oh, you can see where she's cut the thing out. Barbarian dudes,
yeah.
Barbarian dudes, and then
barbarians,
and then these
spider folk.
Like spider folk.
Yeah, I don't get what these guys are.
They've done lizard folk and it's spider folk. John, look at it. Look, spiders.
Tyranids for Warcraft for Sigma.
What, are they just dudes that have stuck spider bits to their heads?
They're into
all
spiders.
Of them are just people.
They're like a spider cult.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. And then they said, "Oh, I love
that. Cool.
That.
Like that.
That is brilliant."
People are going to sell this out immediately on the website for a monkey with a knife.
Yeah.
Yes. Monkey with a knife.
And the goblin with the doofer. Yeah, they're all cool.
Goblin with a peg leg. Goblin with a
nobblers.
Hook. I'm not sure. The
parrot
eagle
really
thing naff compared to everything. But look, it's an ogre with a blunderbuss and a cutlass with great. Yeah, I love that.
It's an attack parrot for a pirate. What are you talking about?
Yeah, true.
And if the other supporting miniatures weren't so cool, it'd be great.
It's true.
Jagatai Khan. I mean, does anybody care?
People are really been waiting for this one for a while. I think people are annoyed he isn't on a 7-inch-long motorbike. Other than that, people are quite happy with that.
Or a foot long.
They also want to. They also don't want a 5-pound piece of resin that costs 300 quid. So.
Yeah, there's that. Yeah. So this is obviously Horus Heresy, and that's it. I mean, they revealed loads of things. So yeah, I got 0 hobbying done tonight. We didn't even say what hobbying we might be doing, but I am working on this this Maison Celeste from GT Combat.
A few more bits.
In news, in terms of things that are going on, so the final part of the Learn to Play Flames of War that Wooly Mike and I played and Johnny B filmed, that will come out on Friday. This week, I had hoped to have it in my hands today. Battlefront have shipped our order of the US Bulge release. It is in transit as we speak. So, Alid, you should be getting yours within the next couple of days because you pre-ordered it from us. So John and I will do an unboxing of that pretty much as soon as we can.
Sorry.
What's up?
My response.
Just his reaction.
Sorry,
don't worry.
I pulled a funny face.
Okay. Sorry.
The bulge.
Your bulge is arriving.
Next Tuesday, Battlefront have said they may well be prepared to come on the stream and talk about it, which would be really nice. If they can. They are, however, in New Zealand, and that is a long way from here. But what is our show time? It's like 9:30 in the morning for them, so they think they might be able to do it. And it's still within the release window of the product, so that, they can kind of get a bit of dispensation to do that kind of stuff. But no promises at this stage. So if they can do it, they'll be here. If they can't do it, I try and get Harry on. So at least we've got somebody who knows something about what we're talking about. But it is a great little set. We've also started, having had a look at this, John and I, as you know, are working towards doing those D-Day British sector. Now, this is a long-term project. I had a bit of a search about the Sarissa kits are really nice, but they're expensive and very complicated in terms of time to manufacture. So I've actually ordered a huge amount of the TT Combat one. They're called row houses. They are like French townhouses. They're in period, but they have about half the number of pieces. So we're going to get those. I'm not saying we're 100% going to use them. We're going to get those, have a look at them, because it's the same vintage as this. This is one of the real reasons I got this, is to see kit complexity. And TT Combat, we've taken a trade account with them. So if you're interested in some TT Combat, we will not be covering all of their stuff, but the stuff that's good for bolt action will be on our website quite soon.
I've already got a French village of TT for 28 mil, a church, a row of houses, a boulangerie, and a couple of little village huts and that. They were quite easy to put together.
Are they actual period correct French houses, or are they Dunkirk period correct French houses?
You think architecture changed within 3 years?
No, I mean the Dunkirk movie that they made. Where they filmed it 100% accurately in the streets of France, but then there was all the modern telephone poles, people's stuff in the windows, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, several of the luxury department stores had hoardings over the front of them, and then they painted French houses on them.
So they filmed them in the correct streets in Dunkirk.
Yeah,
but obviously they've been modernized in the last 70 years, and there's not much they can do about
that. In answer to that question, subs, because we do trade with them, Battlefront have had a substantial shipment into the UK, but they by no means had everything. So we put in an order like a month ago. They knew they had problems. That first batch of stuff has come in, which included many, but not all of the army sets, some of the smaller things. But again, it's only the really popular ranges. So if you can, you should start seeing things appear on other suppliers briefly, but you're going to see the same stuff everywhere because there's only so many things that came through. So that's where that is. But they've got another shipment on the way after the bulge thing. So they had a shipment, bulge, then another. They should have most of the range quite soon for those that are interested. And after we've had, next week will be about Battle of the Bulge. The week after that, Friends of General Haig is going to be here. And we're going to, as I say, talk about some of the demo games that he does, because he's a horse and musket kind of chap. And we need more horses in our lives, don't we, John?
Yes. And musket. And Scotsman.
And Scotsman. And we are going to... I've made the video of the campaign update for SPQR 3, and you see that the armies going into match 4 and beyond. Now we know more about the game. We're changing the way our armies are built a little bit because it's not working. The 8-man Roman unit in particular doesn't work. We know that for sure. That's a very expensive piece of crap. We're going to see some changes in that. I think that's about it. Any final remarks from anyone, John?
Oh man, why are you doing that? I got nothing for you. I will finish these Romans, and I will do the little wizard dude, and I just need to paint.
The video yet? Don't tell him about the wizard.
Oh,
spoilers.
Maybe wizards.
Ooh, live spoilers.
That is the end.
James, any words of wisdom from you, sir?
I like the movie Death Watch. It's a World War I movie. It's a horror film about creatures, what is made out of barbed wire, hunting down a bunch of Tommies. It's good fun. Watch it.
Okay,
that is an actual thing. Yeah, true.
There was a comment earlier on. A film we missed out on is Mel Gibson's "We Were Soldiers."
Yeah,
which is a good watch. Yeah.
Would that make it into an ever expanding top 5, which includes about 30 movies?
My top 5's 100. I've got Cockleshell Heroes, Ice Cold in Alex, several other movies on my box to watch that have been on TCM recently. You know, can't beat a black and white war movie. Trust me.
Indeed. Not, certainly, if you're of a certain age, one that you've enjoyed. How about Braveheart? On that happy note, we will not discuss that terrible movie. Great movie, nothing to do with history. We did. I think we mentioned we did go up to Warlord last week. We met with Paul Sawyer. We met with John Stallard. We had a look at the casting. We got loads of footage, which we're slowly making into videos. A few interviews and a bit like behind the scenes. How Cook's tour. This is how we do the bendy resin. This is how we do this. We've been making the videos, but they have to obviously. They want to.
One of my favorite bits of the day.
What's your favorite?
We called it bendy resin in front of one of the manufacturers, and they said, "Oh, bendy resin. Oh, okay.
We'll call it that now."
We'll call it that now. They did actually say we'll call it that now.
Did you discuss body-proof resins?
No, I didn't want to, in case they hadn't realised that was us. I didn't want to draw that to their attention. Yeah, Stallard, have you seen this? Woohoo! Well. On that ship. There are so many comments about movies. I knew that this would be a thing. That was a little bit of an experiment tonight. What would I like to know in the comments is we could do quizzes. That was an easy quiz. It took me about half an hour this morning at work. I mean, before work. If you'd like to see a quiz like that more often as part of the show, let us know down in the comments. In the meantime, guys, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.